Right now. Hi, this is Cristobal, originally working from Florida, but right now I'm in Massachusetts, time to go a thing. And my win is I have my first presentation live, and I have a couple customers out of a presentation.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's incredible.
Yeah, trying to get some roofers and trying to get some real estate as well on the team.
Awesome. Great. Welcome. Anybody else feel free as we're getting this party started to say hello. Let us know where you're zooming in from. And we always like to start off with some wins.
This is Angel True from Reno, and I am headed up this afternoon to go sign about probably a 10 kilowatt ground mount system for a customer I installed on another house 3 years ago. And she was
awesome.
trying to other people and decided they all sucked, and she only trusted me.
Nice. That is awesome. Welcome. Everybody else, want to jump out, say hello, let us know where you're zooming in from. It's so much fun because everybody's kind of, zooms in from all around the world. That's what's so great about this platform. So let us know where you're zooming in from and share a win, because it's always so great to get to start off with wins. And then Carrie, when you see Jonathan Brunasso just jumped in here, can you make him co-host when you get a chance, please?
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. As you guys are jumping in, please say where you're from and share a win if you would like.
Here, I had my hand raised, but I'll just go and jump out there, Melissa. My name's Sean in Houston, Texas. And the win I'd like to share is I am bringing a new roofing enterprise on with one of my reps who's going to be their solar division and closer for them. Also got a bunch of different reps, and I've been working on door knocking training with them and having a couple meetups where they can come every week and practice their craft and get better, and then go out and practice it and get leads. So it's been working out really well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that win. Go ahead, everybody. So I'm on my mobile phone today, so I can't see when people are raising their hands. So if you want to jump out, let us know where you're zooming in from and share a win. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and speak up.
Yeah, I got a good win. This meeting has been very helpful. I got to connect with Perry Chavez in Colorado, and we've been having some great conversations and just kind of, it's just a really cool thing to be able to knock ideas off each other.
Oh, that's incredible. Awesome.
Little fence line days come.
Very pleased. There.
Yeah, just a friendly reminder for everybody. If you're not saying hello, sharing a win and letting us know where you're zooming in from, make sure you go ahead and mute out, please. All right. Welcome, everybody. Who would like to say hello?
Mr. Woods, is this file turned in?
It is, but we've been having.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and
real quickly, ladies and gentlemen.
Apparently, I just heard from Heather.
I'm trying to mute everybody out. Sorry.
I guess the PM sent him the wrong contract.
Carrie, if you could go ahead, and I'm on my cell phone, so I can't mute everybody out. If you guys could do that, thanks. All right, anybody else before we get this party started want to
if you could make
say
me
hello, let us know where you're zooming in from.
Morning, everyone. If you could make me co-host or let me do the screen share.
Yep. Carrie, my assistant's doing that any moment.
Jonathan,
let me see if I can.
Co-host currently.
You are, Jonathan.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm on my mobile phone. So I'm going to need either my assistant, Carrie, or Jonathan or Chris to take the controls to mute everybody out so we can get an awesome, clean recording of this, because I know that Jonathan Brunasso is going to drop some serious nuggets. So we want to make sure we get a good, clean recording. Once we get that mute thing taken care of, we'll get the party started.
And I apologize, Melissa. I have not been made a co-host, so I'm not able to mute people out.
Carrie, you need to go ahead and take care of that then.
I don't believe Carrie's on with us.
I'm here. Yep.
You are. Please and thank you.
Yep. So once you guys, once one of you gets the mute situation taken care of, we'll go ahead and get this started.
There we go. We're in good shape. Thank you, Melissa.
All right, Cool. I still see a lot of people that aren't muted, so I'm going to see if I can go through here. If you guys could all just take a moment to mute your lines, that would be great. I can pop on here and I can see Bill, your line's not muted. Charles and theirs, your line's not muted. Charles, yours. There we go. Perfect. Now we got everything we need here for a successful party. So welcome everybody to today's Enterprise Open Forum. So excited that everybody could make it here, especially coming off of SolarCon. We just had so many sales orgs, dealers, installers, just super interested in our B2B platform known as Enterprise and how it can truly help them scale their business, have that national footprint, take that huge overhead burden of procuring equipment, project management, designs, taking all of that off of their plate and let everybody do what they do best, which is either selling solar or installing solar. And that is why we're here today if you're new to Enterprise, we're here to help answer any questions that you might have. If you're trying to figure out how to have these high-end B2B conversations, this is an awesome forum for you to ask those questions, all of that. So just out of curiosity, you guys in the chat bar, will you guys put a 1 if you already currently have an Enterprise? So go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat bar if you already have an Enterprise.
And
That'll give
not Power Pro, but just Enterprise.
Enterprise or even Powur Pro. So if you're doing something more than just being a single seller.
Beautiful.
Okay. Nice. So we got kind of a wide range of people here. And I want to be real specific. This isn't like an exact Enterprise training. This is for people to come and really get their questions answered and things like that. A little bit of housekeeping and updates. Tomorrow, Building with Bobby will feature Charles, Ryan Work, who is head of business development with Powur, and then Sam Peterson, who is head of enterprise marketing development, and myself. We will be on there doing a how to recruit for enterprise, how to talk about enterprise, and possibly show the new deck that Ryan and Charles and Sam and everybody's been working on. So that link can be found in your Powur calendar. All right, now that we got that taken care of, I'm going to introduce our guest. So everybody knows our guest. We've seen his name continually on the leaderboard. He really took the concept of enterprise and just really ran with it. So I think we're very honored to have him as our guest speaker today. He's going to share some info at the very beginning, and then we'll go ahead and open it up for that traditional open forum Q&A style. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the Zoom over to my dear friend, colleague, and just an amazing human, Jonathan Brunasso. The Zoom is yours.
Thank you, Melissa. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for that introduction, Melissa. And it's so great seeing you all at SolarCon and just seeing all the amazing leaders right now. And Melissa, huge shout out to her as a leader with this company, Never Giving Up, working a company remotely, earning hundreds in Idaho, where we don't even service, and took the initiative to create this weekly training on her own accord. We're not corporate. We don't get paid for this. So shout out to you, Melissa, for doing this. I truly appreciate it. And to all you leaders out there, Jordan Shaw might be doing a weekly vision training on Powur Calendar. That's the game. It's, who are you going to bring in as a leader? What mentors are going to be under you? What training are you eventually going to do? What leader are you going to ask, hey, I'd like to take on some training or some help or be the trainer on one of your things, guys. So always keep that in your mind, always be growing. And again, huge shout out to Melissa Dawson. My goal today is to keep this fairly interactive. I want to give you some basics, some overview, tell you about my experience with enterprise, the way I see it. And we'll touch on how to talk to potentially like a installer. There may be some of you on here that just signed up for enterprise. There may be 1 or 2 of you on here that are under me and have enterprise. There may be one of you on here that is an installer in Texas that hasn't even joined us yet, but you just want to see what we're all about. And there may be a lead generator on here who joined under an enterprise who wants to see what Powur and Enterprise is all about. So it's a mixed bag today. I'm going to try to keep it very fluid and speak to a broad audience. And like Melissa said, you really want to dial in tomorrow, building with Bobby. You're going to have Ryan work, one of the directors of Enterprise, an amazing Sam Peterson, who's taking this to the next level. And now that we're coming out of NEM 2 and all the craziness, we have allocated more resources to Enterprise, and it's exciting. It should be coming out of beta later this year, and there will be new features, new payouts, new teams, new white labeling. Powur Vision, our own internal design tool, will let us show pricing and commission to our seated sellers in our enterprises to adjust commissions even stronger. And it's going to be amazing what we're going to see happen with Enterprise. But as always, stay patient. We're hiring, we're staffing, we're growing, we're trying to keep up. Much needed growing pains. And again, always reference the fact that Powur is in beta mode. And if you want, type questions into the chat. I'm going to try to get through some training. We're going to do some Q&A towards the end. So if you could just hold off and type anyone in the chat, and we will go from there. How's everyone doing today? You guys ready for Friday? The weather's beautiful. The sun is out. I'm super pumped. This is where I catch my second wind. I don't sleep much, and I'm just on fire for the next month or two. All right, so broad overview. I'm on my downstairs laptop, so bear with me. We all know that the standard Powur seller account is $85 a month, $95 setup fee. Okay, and you get access to the 5 income streams. You have to sell 1 deal with a tier 3 mentor if you're in solar for 12 months, or 3 deals if you're not in solar. And you can tag closers 50-50. They have to be tier 3. And you would split the loan rebate, and all the other amazing things that comes with the standard seller account. You have an ambassador portal. You could pay someone $1,000. So it's epic. This works for a lot of people. I brought in a real estate office with the standard $85 a month. And I said, let's invite all of your realtors to be your $1,000 ambassador. They get $1,000, you get 50%. We tag a tier 3 closer like Cynthia or Paul or Jordan. They do all the work and they get 50%. And if they want, we call this phase 2. The ambassador can upgrade to a consultant underneath the real estate brokerage. I give you this illustration because the Powur seller, $85, it just works for a lot of people. It could work for a roofer. It could work for an HVAC. Oftentimes we hear people say, oh, they're a company, so they can't be Powur seller. They have to be Powur Pro or Enterprise, Jonathan, or, oh, they own an office, so they have to be Enterprise. It does not work like that, okay? And we're going to get into that. Powur Pro is $175 a month. You get all the benefits of our seller program, but you can get lead generators and pay them a certain split or dollar amount, and soon to come, even a custom dollar amount per watt or a percentage. So that is going to get better with the lead generators. You have support staff like an admin or a manager that has full access to access your account, Offer leads to closers. That's called lead offer. That allows you to lead offer not just tier 3s, but tier 2s in the entire Powur platform. And you get to customize the offer. You could offer, Johnny, 30%, 40% of the commission, and you get 60% of the commission. If your leads are good, if they don't suck, maybe you have an assistant managing the job on the back end, so you can ask for more money. And you also get to choose what to do with the loan rebate as well. You can set minimum margins so that the closers don't go under certain margins. And just to touch on the lead offer, it's cool. It sounds cool, but guys, I'm using the tier 3 mentor program with my enterprise. I want my people to make 50-50. I want them to get the recognition of a tier 3 sale on the dashboard. I want them to get half the loan rebate. I want them to follow up 9 times. I set the expectation that if that client refers, you still tag me back. I call that a level 1 referral. And so I just want to add that in, because oftentimes we don't think the tier 3 mentor, our awesome closing program is fine in itself, but the lead offer is a custom solution out there. So for example, like I lead offered my boy Sean, and I asked for 60%, he got 40%, and I kept the loan rebate because I have golden referrals and I have an assistant managing the job on the back end. How much better can it get? So keep those things in mind. With the $175 a month, you get to set the lead generator compensation as we discussed, and that person gets paid out at the M1, M2 milestones. So not just the ambassador $1,000 a few weeks after install, but a lead generator could be like a door knocker. It could be a lead gen company. It could be anyone. It could be a realtor. There's so many different uses of this. And you do get what's called preferred partner assignment. I want to clarify this for a second. A lot of people have asked me if I go pro or enterprise, I get to pick my installer. There is a little bit more preferential treatment, in my opinion. But if you sell a deal today and you put in project handoff notes, hey, I'd really like Guyu Construction. I'd really like Magic Solar. I really like Ambient RG Electric. Likely you will get that assignment if they have the bandwidth, if they're not overloaded, if they have hit our metrics, then you can likely get it. But Powur Pro and Enterprise does give a little bit more preferential treatment regardless of those bandwidths, and that job will go to that installer with a little bit more certainty, is my opinion. And lastly, Powur Enterprise is $350 a month, and you can see there's no setup fees. You get all the benefits of the 2 programs we've already talked about. You can unlock additional revenue if you have a 30-day sales of over 15 or 25 or 65 deals. I'm going to show you that in a second. You can design your own compensation plan for your organization. This is going to get better. You can pay out support roles and managers, and it's going to eventually show you could pay them with a per watt or dollar amount or percentage base. There's additional equity or stock options. You can seat your seller. That's the biggest thing here. You can seat your seller. Instead of them paying $85 a month, you pay a $49 membership fee. There's no monthly for them. And you get to also customize the mentorship requirements. Do they have to sell 3 deals, 5 deals, 8 deals with a mentor? Do they have to sell 0 deals with the mentor? Can other sellers in my organization tag them as the closer? So you get more customization. You can view your team's earnings, more advanced reporting options, and more things to come here with the white labeling and the Powur Vision. A lot of things to come as we pull out of beta. With Powur Enterprise, unlike the Powur seller has to close their first deal with a mentor, Powur Enterprise does not have to close that first deal with a mentor. With that said, though, don't just have someone random join 350 just to avoid that first 50-50 split. They better be a solar pro. They better be competent with proposal tools and knowledgeable. And obviously their leadership, is going to have to show them how to do all that in that first deal. So if you're leveraging the fact that enterprise joins don't have to do a 50-50, you better make sure to allot some time to help them on their first deal or 2, since they don't have to use a tier 3 mentor. Let's keep it moving. I'm hoping this is resonating with y'all, and we'll watch the recording multiple times. We'll do this tomorrow, and we'll keep the training coming. So keep it simple. Normal seller account works for the majority of people. You can even share your logins with your assistant or your manager, right? If you're okay and you trust the person. So it works for a lot of people. Powur Pro someone that needs an admin, an assistant, a manager with their own logins. They need to pay a lead generator, customized, not just an ambassador program after, but a lead generator customized, soon to come, custom dollar, percentage, or per watt. And then the Powur Pro can lead offer. They can lead offer any tier 2 or tier 3 in Powur and change the loan rebate. That's someone that needs Powur Pro. Powur Enterprise is someone that can seat a seller. And, you know, don't get ahead of yourself. If you're not at 20 wide level 1 today and you start seeding sellers, just keep in mind that seeded sellers don't count towards unlocking of those 6 tiers, that revenue share plan that we have here at Powur. I'll explain more in a second. You can unlock more revenue with the 30-day sales and equity earning plan. So some stock options. There's custom mentor requirements you can change and customize. Soon to come white label. Soon to come, you can pay a team manager. You could have 2 teams with 5 reps each and a manager, 2 managers that gets 5 cents or 5% off of that team, and another manager gets 5% off that team. So really cool stuff to come that we've seen with Sam Peterson. I'm sure we're going to see all this tomorrow. Things that are changing. Let's circle back to talking to a potential solar installer. I just want to cover a few more basics here. Obviously, enterprise value prop, COGS model, cost of goods, volume-based earnings, custom enterprise software, design tools that'll be white labeled, CRM, backend, all the accounting, all the payrolls done for them. We have marketing if they want it. There's so much value, you know. One of my buddies on here, when he saw the training, he's like, you guys train on Zoom every single week in every single market, and I can just plug my people in. And you guys do Super Solar Saturdays in person in lots of markets, and I can just grow teams, and that's all done for me. And you guys have Powur University, and you have knowledge base, like, holy shit. And you have Powur Calendar, like, I don't have to do anything. That's worth way more than $350 a freaking month. Okay, so don't hesitate to realize the value that this company has over most other companies. There's just so much. And talk about the REC panels. Those are insane. And the N-phase inverters, the Solar Edge batteries, the pricing we get on those two. There's so many amazing things that we get here, and Powur takes care of it all for the enterprise. I'm not going to touch on this too much. I'm going to try to wrap up a few more slides and we can move on here. But as I mentioned, the lead generator, it's $25 support role per month that you have to pay for a lead gen. They can access training. They can access support, input leads. They can access their own projects. They get a little payout at M1 and M2. Until M1 goes away, they get paid out at M1 and M2. And right now it's a fixed amount, but it will be changing to a variable percentage or watt, things like that. A seated seller is $49 a month membership. They can access training, support, input leads, accept lead offers, access their own projects. They can respond to tickets. They get paid at M1 and M2. It's fully visible, fully transparent. That seated seller gets to see that commission down to the dollar and cent and exactly what they're getting paid. So somebody on here is an enterprise. They brought in a seated seller as a lead gen. And these are all the benefits of the lead gen company that joined as a seated seller. You get paid at M1, M2. You do get some revenue share if you want to build a little team or tell other people, and you do qualify to get stock options at certain milestones. Enterprise has a support role, like an admin assistant, $25 a month, limited visibility, their own logins. Enterprise manager, again, $25 a month, full access to changing the settings. They get their own logins. And by the way, you know, like I have 1 or 2 seated sellers that I pay their $49, like Janice or Ashley, and I also want them to be a manager to my enterprise. So I'll show you that in a second, where they can also access. So it'd be 49 plus 25. Enterprise owner, this is a little old slide, so just ignore that. It's Powur Pro and Enterprise now. We've changed the verbiage here. Keep it going. Enterprise, our normal standard split is 70-30. So Enterprise does have the ability to take an extra 5 or 10% because that enterprise has massive connections, support, admin, training, office, whatever that looks like. They brought in a seated seller into the company, so they can do 5%, 10%, especially because the enterprise is paying their $85 monthly membership. They don't have to pay that. That's $1,000 a year, guys. So if an enterprise brings in a seated seller and says, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the girl, your commission is 65.5, you 65 you and 5 the organization, and here's the benefits, and I'm paying your membership fee and you get access to everything. So the enterprise does have the ability to do 5 or 10% beyond the normal 70-30 split. And of course, the classic 70-30, 15% Powur keeps. And honestly, super razor thin margins, guys. Our EBITDA and our profit is razor thin. We need to do better if we're going to go IPO. And it's insane how much we can sell REC and Solar Edge batteries at razor low prices and crush the competition, still make a $7,000 commission. It's truly insane. And get a loan rebate. I mean, it's amazing. So standard 70-30 split. And there is a standard 6 tiers of revenue share as well. But seated sellers do not count towards unlocking of our revenue share system. 2 more things here, then I'll show you a few live examples, and then we'll do some Q&A. So I just want to reiterate that Enterprise has volume-based pricing. That means if the enterprise itself, me, and my seated sellers, Janice, Sean, Matthew, Jim, Paul, Cynthia, if we do 15 sales in a 30-day period, 30 sales in a 30-day period, 45 sales in a 30-day period, my enterprise gets an extra percent from Powur's take, okay? So for example, I've been over 60 deals the last 30 days, quite a bit with the NIM2. So what does that mean? If Cynthia, my seated seller, sells a deal at 10-gram margin, she's making how much? $7,000, right? And the classic revenue share for everyone out there in Powur is 20% of what Powur keeps, so $600. But since I've unlocked this extra juice here, I get 10% of the margin. 10% of 10 grand is $1,000. So I get that $1,000, not just 600, but 1,000. And then what happens there is the amount that Powur keeps, goes to 2,000, and that gets 20% of that. So then like $400 gets rev shared up, right? I just want you to understand that when you unlock this additional income, I don't just get the 600 classic rev share, I can actually get 1,000, and then 400 floats up to me. So if you are unlocking additional income, your leadership would get a little bit less rev share, but I'm sure we all want to have that problem if you have an enterprise that is crushing it. And I'll show you that in a second. And lastly, enterprise has some stock options, but I'm sure they'll cover this tomorrow as well. So before I show you some live examples, I want to cover one last thing, and then we will move to Q&A. So I'm going to put it in the chat here. And I'm on only one monitor, so sorry, I'm not monitoring the chat. Not yet, at least. So I'm going to put in our installer intake form or our roofer intake form. But real quick, let's talk about talking to potential solar installers, okay? That's a big theme right now. I know Melissa is capitalizing on that. What we're seeing, guys, is half the installers out there can't pay their bills, literally. With the interest rates, with the equipment rate hikes, Harness just went out of business. Lumi Brothers just joined another company. We're seeing shakeups, and for the next year, we're going to see shakeups. These solar installers aren't going to make it. A lot of them are going to go under. And the amazing thing is that I think in the next few years, every small and medium installer should absolutely be on the Powur platform. There's no reason why they shouldn't. And we'll get into that. So the opportunity is pretty big for solar installers. And you can recruit them and tell them the benefits of joining with us or possibly getting jobs from us to install. We may not have enough sales in the market, or we may already have enough installer coverage. So you never want to promise, hey, if you join us, we're going to give you all these jobs. Like maybe, maybe not. We may have a decent number of installers in that market. And so the potential to talking to a solar installer is really immense. And this kind of applies for roofers and HVAC as well. So, Mr. Installer, you can use Powur to sell in the markets that you don't service. You only install from San Diego to LA? Well, what about the referrals that you people have? Have you ever thought about adding a sales rep to your company? What do you do when a customer 5 years ago wants to give you a referral in another area? Use Powur to put in deals in 23 states, Hawaii even next 2 months, and assign it to a closer. We have closers around the country, and get 50% for not doing anything. Why wouldn't you join and have that and possibly add a sales rep? I know you've thought about it. You say that you only install, but we all know that the juice is in the squeeze with the sales, right? So why don't you add that to your business with the click of a button and $350 a month? Now you could also, Mr. Installer, Miss Installer, possibly become a certified partner and get projects in markets where needed. We have an installer intake form. You have to be licensed. You can't use subs. You have to, have the electricians. You have to know about batteries. We'll work with you. We'll discuss the ins and the outs. We'll discuss the MSA, Master Service Agreement. We'll discuss what we pay for what. We have different ways we could work the business. And, if you join Enterprise Pro and you're certified, other sellers in Powur can custom request you. So they can actually request that you're the installer. So we'll get to know the sales reps and they'll request you. Now, if Powur likes what you're doing and you're doing good business and we need your help in that market, then you could possibly get jobs from Powur to install and keep food on your family's table and keep afloat during the hard times. And Mr. Installer, Powur Services is something amazing. We have virtual site survey. We'll have the customer or the seller take photos for you. We also have on-demand site survey. We've crowdsourced the site survey. So right now, really, you hardly ever have to do surveys, Mr. Installer. Then we take it to in-house design. And then we take it, if we can, in certain jurisdictions, to in-house permit. You're not even doing a thing. And we've assigned this job to you. Make sure to review the photos and the plan sets and all that. And then we're going to deliver often a permit. You're just going to install it and get it to pass inspection and hand it back to us. We do the interconnection. We do the project management. We're going to pay you handsomely to do all this. Now, we may need you to do survey. We may need you to do design or interconnection, or you may not want to do that. We can figure that out. You can be a partner with us that does some design, or maybe you want to be a partner that does not do design. I'll let the install services team discuss those things with you. One other thing really cool, Mr. Installer, this is on Powur's paper. This is on our contract. This is our license. You don't have to worry about that. And Powur handles the funds. Don't worry about trying to pay CED or being stuck with Mosaic or any of this crap. Powur handles all the money and they pay you really fast Mr. Installer. You get a large chunk of money once the install is complete and you upload all the photos in our amazing Powur OS backend that you're going to have access to. And then we're going to pay you the final amount once you get it to pass inspection. And Powur is going to procure all the equipment and racking. We're going to drop ship it to your warehouse. You need to have a warehouse. We really do not want to drop ship on site at the customer's house, although that is an option, but we really prefer if you have a little warehouse, we will procure the equipment and the racking for you. Now I want to pause here for 1 minute before I go into live back end of my enterprise and just see any questions that have come up so far, or if there's anyone here that can assist me like Chris.
We have quite a few in the chat bar. So let's just start from the chat bar. So that gives us a little break in there. I see one here. It says, if we don't seat our sellers in enterprise, are we still able to use all of the manager team functions, team payments? Jimmy, if I feel I'm understanding your question correctly, you can, when you're assigning leads to a seller, the enterprise owner and the managers can see things, and those people do not have to be seated in your enterprise for you to see how the seller is working your leads. So does that help, Jimmy?
I'm not seeing that.
Jonathan,
question.
do you have a different route to explain that to him?
Let me see if I can understand the question, read the question. Let me kind of try to crush through some of these. Do I need a special certification to recruit for enterprise on my team? No. Tons of variables. What is the average pay that the install crew gets paid? The majority, Jimmy, is like 60, 70, 80% even after install. And then they get the rest right after inspection. Can we put LLC as owner on enterprise? Yes, it asks for the name when you do your settings. We'll be doing my Powur walk. Thank you for letting us know you're walking, Barry. Does Enterprise Pro provider get paid for the sales of the fence to homeowner from Powur? Cristobal, please type your question in here. So here we go. If we don't seat our sellers in enterprise, are we still able to use all of the manager team payment functions? I'm not really sure what you mean there. You can have a manager, yes. You don't have to have a seated seller. You can have an admin. So
I think I'm going to expand on that. So it's very important for everybody to understand. You don't have to seat a seller, okay? So you can be assigning leads out to any tier 2 or tier 3 sellers on the platform. Obviously, if you have people on your team, you want to first choose them so that you're getting those passive income and overrides. The idea of seating a seller is mainly two things. Let's say you bring on an enterprise that already has their own inside sales teams, right? They're going to seat those sellers. So it's people that don't want to be paying for their position as a single user. And then the company, the owner of the company is like, we already have our sales team, so we're going to pay that monthly fee for them. Then the second option, which Jonathan can expand on, is what he figured out very early on, because he mastered the comp plan, is he chose to take his sellers that he already had, because he has a very large team. So you can't do this if you don't have a very large team. He chose to seat them because that unlocked that 80-20 split that he just a couple minutes was referring to. So if you guys don't have a big enough team, you're not going to be seating your sellers, right? You're just going to bring them in as single users. But if you're on here and you own a business and you already have your own inside sales team, then you can seat your sales team.
Yeah, I think I got Jimmy's question. If they're not seated, Jimmy, you can't adjust their compensation. And no, you can't, you have to have them as seated for their sales to count toward the unlocking as well, Jimmy. Good. I think good questions, though. I think that's what you're talking about.
That one always trips everybody up. And what I saw at the very beginning when Jonathan started doing this and seating his people in his enterprise to unlock the 80-20, unfortunately, I saw a lot of leaders mess up because all of a sudden they put everybody in their enterprise, which I always like to describe enterprise as a box. They put them all in there. Well, all of a sudden then they weren't wide for their passive income on Friday. So then they quickly realized the hard way they had to move them all outside of the box and put them back in. So you really don't want to be playing that game unless you're very wide already.
Right. All right. I'm going to try to show a few minutes of my back end, and that sounded weird, but my CRM portal. And then we'll get to Q&A. Okay. So as you can see, everyone has the sales on the left, but now I have enterprise on the left. And if I go to profile, you know, I can put in my organization name, JB Energy, and some more information about my organization here. I've got manager Janice, manager Ashley, manager Sarah. And you could put e-wallet, service areas, sales partner status, so I could define where I could drive and stuff like that. And then I'm going to go to account. So you could see I'm paying my $350 a month. You could see I've seated quite a few people here. I'm paying their $49. Janice is also a manager, $49. Ashley's a manager. And Sarah is a seated seller and a manager. So I've got a lot of people here. But like Melissa said, I just want to show you and little flex. Outside of all those seated sellers, I have 45 people active on my level 1. So I have unlocking of all 6 tiers without my seated sellers. Okay, so seated sellers do not count towards the unlocking of our classic 6-tier revenue share plan. Very important that you understand that. Now, I am going to continue on here. Don't want to show you how much money
I'm going to add one thing. It's very important. You guys see on his left-hand toolbar how he has that top part. It looks the same as the bottom part, the enterprise, right? If you are an enterprise owner, it is very important that you're operating from that bottom section, right? One of the biggest questions we get is from people, they're putting in the leads, but they're putting it up in their single user spot in that top part. So as you can see, he has a lower section for his enterprise. If you're an enterprise owner, that's where you're working from.
All right, so earning, I get to have a ledger. I get to see my seated sellers info and how much I've made and all the different earnings there. I'm not going to click on that right now. But more importantly, comp plan. So this is the unlocking of the additional revenue. I have 48 sales between my enterprise and my seated sellers in the last 30 days. So 48, I get an extra 7.5% right now. If I have a job that hits M1 today, 7.5 is locked in. So this gets locked in, whatever you're at, when a job hits M1. Okay, and then you can see who sold the jobs in those last 30 days and who's kicking butt for us. One more thing here. I'm going to go ahead and click on team. I recommend you could go to marketing if you want to add. Let's start with marketing. The normal seller join, they're going to pay the $85 a month. I got my ambassadors. If someone wants to join as Powur as an enterprise, they want their own 350 enterprise, they can join under me as enterprise. If I want to have them as a seated seller, I can send them this link. I actually don't recommend sending this link for now. I'm going to show you a better way to do it.
I was just going to say, really avoid that area of sending them the link from there, because man, the software gets really confused easily.
Yeah. So if you want to add a seated seller or an admin or a manager, please go to team and add team member, name, number, email address. They're already revamping this. Gender, marital status. Oh gosh, non-binary. And then you complete invite details. So right here, this looks nice. This is new. They can be your seated seller. They can be a classic seller. They can be an ambassador. This is nice. And then you could give them a staff role as manager or support. So for example, I could say a seated seller, I pay their 49. Maybe they don't need any staff as well. I can define the number of tier 3s they have to sell with someone. If I lead offer them, if I give them a lead, I can define a custom amount by default. Right now it's set at 40 seller, 60 me. I could take an additional 5 to 10% on that individual's jobs that they sell, their own jobs. I can take an additional 5 or 10%. I could allow them to recruit other seated sellers directly to them. They will be able to grow a team. And we can only recruit seated sellers 2 levels down right now. So definitely use this when you are adding even a lead generator. Right now, like I said, it's only a dollar amount fixed. It will switch to a like per watt or percentage based. I could just have a manager. I could hire an assistant today and $25 a month, and she gets access to my amazing enterprise and can help me run my business. So this,
and very soon you'll be able to take that manager role. This is big. People have been wanting this one, and pay them out of the profit. So I think it'll probably come at that same time that they put the version where you can either choose a percentage, a price per watt, or a dollar amount. At that same time, you'll be able to incentivize your managers. And another thing, that the managers will be able to manage groups of teams. So I know some of the enterprises on here are used to having, they have regional sales managers, all of that. They'll be able to actually seat their regional sales manager, that manager's team, and then be able to incentivize there. So, you know, like Jonathan mentioned at the beginning, we are in beta, like right now. That new screen that he just showed there, I think wasn't there yesterday. It was a different toggle switch. So just know that the platform's evolving. And if you have an idea for the platform, talk to your leadership about it, because we can evolve it into it. Like that whole manager getting paid thing and the regional manager, that came from an enterprise that came on board and was like, hey, I need this. We took it to Sam, and then Sam's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let me talk to the IT team. And so just know this is a really innovative process, you know, so it lets that's why we meet here every day, because we're learning to fly the plane literally as we're building the plane. So that's why we're all here, is to be innovative.
absolutely. And I just wanted to show you, like I logged into Janice's account here. So she has her own business up here. She's a seated seller, but I also made her my manager. So she can access my organization. Right here, it says organization. She could go in and maybe help one of Paul's jobs. She has my marketing links. She could see my earnings. She can manage my team, grow my team. She could adjust my settings because she is one of the managers. So she can adjust different settings in here for now. And I'm going to bounce back. One last thing I wanted to share before we jump to Q&A. Oh yeah, this is brand new. Love it. Under settings, this is important. At the bottom here, I have more control to adjust different things. So this is a sneaky one. Default seated seller finance rebate. If my seated seller, Janice or Cynthia, sells a self-gen deal, I don't want to take the loan rebate for me. I know some enterprises that want to do it 50-50 because it's amazing. It's too much pay, to be honest. So I do 0. If I offer a lead, not a tier 3, but if I offer a lead, that 40-60 or 50-50, whatever, I choose to keep the loan rebate, which we all know is 1.5% of the loan. But cash and lease storage in California are looking a lot more attractive than loans these days. So, and then lastly, under modules here on the left, We're going to see more modules come in here, which are going to be super cool. I could turn this module on and I could say that I want value construction and whatever roofing I want Reggie with above all. So if I sell a deal in Southern California, then I will have preferential treatment. Again, you can request it in project handoff notes today and likely get it if they have the bandwidth. But this is kind of more of a forced option there. So that's all I have. I'm gonna check.
I'm gonna add real quick onto that. I've seen it in the last week that some enterprises and seller pro accounts, when you're requesting your preferred installer, sometimes if it's not clicking and letting you actually get that, it's just kind of like putting it there, highlighting it. We have to actually email Sam with Enterprise to turn it on in the back end. So if for some reason you're an Enterprise or a seller pro account and it's not letting you choose that installer, then Sam can take care of it on the back end.
Awesome. I know that was a lot of info, guys, and honestly, it took me months to figure this out. And it's changing out of beta with amazing, exciting features with vision and white labeling. And it's like Melissa said, we're going to be able to pay a manager in teams like price per watt or dollar amounts and percentages. What that means for us is that I can go recruit a elevation solar, a real solar. I can go like possibly talk to Fusion Power, like you're only in 6 states, or Better Earth, you're only in 8 states. Like, how about you use Powur to fulfill your other states? And I can recruit a team now. Once the features come out of beta, and then Vision gives us the access to only show their sales reps what that enterprise wants them to see. That's the game. That's where it's going to get really exciting as well. All right.
The amount of money that we can save people, like just a perfect example. I talked to a company the other day and they were using Sonobi and they were paying, I kid you not, and they thought this was a good deal, 6 cents a watt to use a design software.
Stupid.
And you know what? I was like, oh, well, ours is just $350 a month. Like, what? Like, well, that's cheaper than one freaking proposal. And then you go look at what do people pay for Aurora. I talked to a company and a sales org at SolarCon, and they're like, we just love Aurora. It's so cool. Okay, great. How much do you pay? And they're like, oh, we are the best deal, $4,000 a month. Rad. Ours is $350 a month. That's all. Like, that's right there is you can just kill it with that. And then that, like Jonathan mentioned, those market development meetings, our knowledge center, it's just huge. Other companies don't have that. I see Jonathan blasting through on the chats. Anybody want to come off mute and ask a question?
I know Desi's been waiting, and I do know that we have an installer on here and even a new enterprise with a lead gen company potentially on here too. So I appreciate the diverse group of people. Let's see if we can have Desi click her unmute button.
Yes, thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Jonathan. Great. How we are being upgraded with the enterprise, amazing. I have 2 questions for you, Jonathan. And I'm talking about, I know you had Janice, Cynthia, and Paul, of course. They have both, like at the regular seller, they pay for the 85 and they are on your seat seller on the your enterprise. They can have both? No.
When you seat a seller, the enterprise pays their 49. There is no both. There is no you need to have both. It's just one.
Got it. So they don't keep the $85 license, let's say. No.
That's right. Yeah, they don't have to pay that anymore.
But they still, Desi, they still have access to their platform. So when Jonathan showed Janice's platform, that upper left-hand part of that blue toolbar is where Janice would go put all of her own personal deals in and things, right? But then when she's working as the enterprise manager or whatever role, that's that lower part that will show this the organization, the enterprise. So the seated seller, again, for everybody to understand, the only difference is that the enterprise is paying that sales reps software license monthly fee.
Yeah.
So they no longer pay the
Yeah.
85, they pay 49.
It's business as usual, Desi. It's just instead of them paying 85, we pay their 49. And you could adjust some of the benefits or commission if you want to, or you could leave them alone. So it's
Got
business
it.
as usual. Yeah. And just so
Thank
you know too, like I've known some of these seated sellers for 15 years and 10 years and 5 years. And now that I have the ability to seat them, I kind of say something like this, like, I'll leave you at, at 70-30. You'll have access to my offices. You'll have access to exclusive training. I'll pay your $85. You're going to save $1,000 a month. And I do give all my seated sellers a ticket to Powur World Convention in San Diego. So that saves you some money. And we're going to have exclusive team events. And I'm going to do a contest for my seated sellers. So I'm at the level where I had a lot wide, so I could then try to build up my seated sellers like my brother and I are doing. So
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Jonathan is a perfect example of what Bobby always talks about. When Bobby asks you what's your role in Powur, and people always fall to his trap and say they're a seller at tier 1. But what he always wants us to get is that we're a CEO, we're an impact CEO, we're a CEO of our own business. Well, when Jonathan saw the enterprise, he quickly took his CEO mindset and he created a business. And that's what you all have the opportunity to do as well, because when he seats these sellers, he treats them to the whole next level. Like I've been to his house parties at mansions. He uses those finance rebates. And these are things that make people work even harder because they want to be part of something, So this is a really good opportunity for everybody on here to truly be a CEO of their own business, and you have a business in a box.
Two things on that, and I'll get to you, Carrie, in the chat. I love that you said that, Melissa. Yes, those extra funds that I'm unlocking lets me pay for a $2,500 dinner in Salt Lake. Lets me pay for the rental car for my team or a masseuse that comes in. And yeah, I mean, it's effing amazing that I can do that for them because I'm getting some extra funds. And the next level of that, guys, is I'm getting together 3 or 4 assistants. Some of us have assistants and project managers, and I want to create an SOP. And then I want an assistant project manager for my enterprise to offer concierge level service for my seated sellers. So if you're in my enterprise, you get access to Jennifer, who can see your projects, and she's your concierge now. So there's just so many levels to this, sorry if that's getting crazy advanced, but Carrie, let's go.
I just think it's important for people to go big picture. Like
Absolutely.
I said earlier that we were building a plane and learning to fly it, but really we're on a fucking rocket ship. So it's time to launch it. Carrie?
First, can I be on your team? I want the masseuse. I'm just kidding. My main question is, I'm fighting understanding the difference between Powur Pro and Enterprise, and what I see the value of Enterprise, but then I also see is Powur.
I'm just going to stop you there because we're on a short time thing. The big difference, everybody, you got to get this. The biggest difference, if we look at Enterprise as a box, you are seating your sellers, okay? If you don't have an inside sales team, if you don't have a huge, wide, big team, and you don't need to be seating sellers and paying their monthly $49 payment, then you don't need an enterprise. That is the difference. So you stick to the middle one. I believe it's called the Seller Pro or Powur Pro. And if you go to your join link in your marketing tab, you guys, you pull up that page that was on that slide that Jonathan had. All of you guys have that in your join link. Click on that link, get to know that link, and it shows those 3 options, and it specifically shows the difference.
Yeah, I put in the chat, it's literally seat a seller, unlock additional revenue, and possibly equity. But if you don't have an office, a sales team, then it may not be for you at this time. You may want to go after unlocking the classic tiers. And then someone else said, what's the benefit of seating if you're doing the 70-30 still? It's the unlocking of that 30-day sales, Jeff, that extra income. And then Thomas asked about 80-20. If the enterprise or its seated sellers, if there's no seated sellers, it's the enterprise. can do 15 deals a month, then you get some extra revenue. That's easy. So hope that answered the question there. Was there an installer on here that wanted to ask questions, or a lead gen company, or any of their leadership on here that wanted to ask questions? We doing good, Jarrett? I think people have to be clicked to unmute. Try it now. Raise your hand or type
I
in the chat.
believe, Frazier, I know that you were on the call. I know that you had some questions in regard to being an installer on the enterprise model. See if he's still on here.
Hey guys, yes, I think
There
I'm
he is.
off mute. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
you're good.
Hey,
And
John.
by-
Hey, Jay.
And by the way, we are getting a 10:30. If it's okay with Melissa, can we go a few minutes extra?
I have a super hard cutoff. Like I'm literally in the parking lot to my doctor's office. So you guys can roll and play on this Zoom as long as you want. So you guys all are amazing. I'll see you tomorrow on Building with Bobby. And then of course next week. And Jonathan, you're amazing. Thanks for coming on here and sharing your time. I'm going to peace out, but yeah, you guys hang out as long as you guys want. Have a good one.
Thank you, Melissa. Guys, I'll keep it to like 5 minutes maybe, and I have something to hop off to, but let's hang out for a few more minutes, and if you have to hop off, no worries. Let me just text my 10:30 that I'm running a few minutes late. All right, cool. Frazier, my man from Canada in Texas, solar installer, looking to join Powur. Partied it up in Utah. What's good?
It was a pleasure, my man. It really was. Thanks so much. I don't want to bother if there's a lot of people on this call who are more on the sales side.
We want this experience, so please hammer away.
So I think, and very respectfully, we have a pretty tight ship. We are operational in Texas. We have the warehouse. We have the internal crew. We don't sub anything out. We have the in-house designer. We do all of our permitting. We are a clog, we are a machine without many moving parts outside of Dawn to Dust Solar. I guess my question is, I'd love to see maybe, I know we saw your CRM on back end, Jonathan, more on the sales side. Is there a different platform for the installer? Is that something where we can understand the equipment that we use? Obviously, our team has very specifically been installing our mission solar panels. We use K2 racking. We've done all the different batteries. Sure. But yeah, I guess I got like a whole bunch of questions more on
no worries. Let's try to address it. When you use Powur's platform to sell a job, or when you install for Powur, it will be our equipment and our racking. And right now it's like REC, Longi, Q-Cell Canadian, it's N-Phase or Solar Edge, the batteries are N-Phase or Solar Edge, and we generally use Unirac. So we will procure that. So if you use our platform, again, to sell a deal anywhere, including your own backyard, or we have you install a job, and you can confirm this with our install services team. We'll get you in touch with Joe and Fred to go over all this, but it will be our equipment and our racking. I'm not sure if the install services team has a way to allow you to use your own equipment if you use our platform to sell in. That might be a thing. And that's called like full service, where you handle the full service, but I would want you to double check that with our install services team, and let me allow people to unmute. Go ahead, Frazier. Did that kind of make sense? So it's kind of like we mostly prefer this, but maybe we will allow something different.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you. Jonathan, on the other side of just, we have about 15 sales orgs. Total volume, about 4 or 5 of them are very active, selling about 15 to 20 a month. With us being the installer, then having our sales orgs, which are already using, again, Melissa mentioned Sonobi, Solo, we have all the solar proposal tools. Is there a strategy when an installer joins Powur to then kind of bring their teams on that are external sales partners to also kind of get into the funnel of Powur and work their way through? And I guess I need some support on signing them up under different departments. I've got a sales manager who has 5 reps. I have another person who does lead gen, who sells the leads to the other sales orgs. I guess when you sign up as an installer, the next step is really to then bring your sales partners onto the Powur platform as well. to use you as the installer to install their jobs that they sell?
Yeah, great question. And by the way, the back end for an installer is Powur OS. So you will have a full built out, even better CRM than Powur.com, by the way. Powur OS is really cool. So that's what you'll have in the back. And just to clarify, your company has 3 or 4 dealers, sales dealerships underneath you, all your company, right? You're not just installing for them, but they're an actual sales org under you.
They're a sales partner. So they have their own LLC listing. One of them is multi-state. They use us as their installer in Dallas, Houston, Austin. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you're going to, ideally, you'd want them to plug in. There's a few ways to navigate that. And that is a very good question that we'll probably go with Sam or Charles to answer. But basically, I would look at that like, do they join under you as their own enterprise because they have their LLC, right? So that's going to be one of the easiest solutions is if they already have a company, they just join under you as enterprise. You're going to get a lot of revenue share. And of course, they're still going to pick you as the installer and you're going to get paid as well. So that's an easy answer. If they're not under a company under you, sales partner, if maybe you want to have a direct sales rep directly to your enterprise, of course you could seat them, but likely having them join as an enterprise under you and just working with Jarrett, working with me and explaining all the amazing reasons why their business could 10x if they make that choice to use our portal. And you can say, hey, here's the Powur Portal Enterprise 350 month. Dude, you got to check them out. You could 10x, 100x. Of course, you keep doing what you're doing, but I'd really love it if you check out this video and then jump on a call with Jarrett, and then maybe we can get JB. So that would be my recommendation, Fraser.
Okay. Is there a breakout room for install partners of Powur already? And I mean, I'm not sure if that would be a great time for me to ask other installers or on the platform for, like you said, equipment deliveries. We get same day permits in some jurisdictions in Texas. We have install jobs from sale to install in 10, 12 days.
Sure.
I would not want my operation to be slowed down by potentially waiting for something from Powur, I guess, because we're quick to install, I guess would be another thing where we've got our brand, we've got our value add, our teams love it. Switching to a new platform, if that hinders us or slows down some of the processes from Powur's permitting department or Powur's inventory, getting stuff to our warehouse in Texas, I just would want to know some of those
sure
steps in the place.
That is definitely a question for the install services team. So Fred Walkover, Joe Witt, once you fill out the application for the installer onboarding that I believe sent you, ideally you join Enterprise Pro and just give that 350 and look like an all-star and all in, and then you fill out that onboarding and we connect you with Joe and Fred. That would be the ideal situation to get you to have that conversation with them and see what intricacies of your equipment versus full service versus the platform. I'm sure they've already been thinking about ways to service that exact situation that you're referencing.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've got more questions. I definitely don't want to hamper, or if anybody else want to jump in on the sales side, but yeah, I think that gets us going. And I guess the install services team is where I should be talking about some of those install related questions.
I think so. Yeah, like sales things, or kind of structuring the business. Jarrett and I are really good at that. But as far as the operational side of the installers or other installers, they're rolling out bronze, silver, gold with our installers. They're giving them equity. They're giving them access to benefits and features. And they do a call and a shout out call, and there's metrics. And I don't even know a fraction of all the cool stuff on that side. So let's connect you with Fred and Joe. Let's get you the onboarding installer link. Let's get you signed up of Enterprise Pro if you think we're cool people, and rock and roll. And let's schedule a meeting next week with Jarrett, you and I, after we get you in touch with install services.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Fraser. Look forward to it. That's kind of cool, huh? an installer that hasn't even joined us yet. I got 2 minutes, guys. Anyone else with a super important question? Not sure if Mandavi or Taylor's on here still. Thank you. Austin said, I'm an installer. We have enterprise. How to get to add sales rep. We showed how to add a seated seller, Austin. So you just go into team under the enterprise on the bottom left and click add teammate.
Jonathan, can I add something just big picture for those? And I don't know if everyone's kind of catching it. I'll keep it brief, but you guys, what Jonathan's done with the seated seller aspect of this, bringing people on like solar reps who are generating sales, 5, 8, 10 sales a month. It doesn't take much or many reps to get to where you're unlocking an additional 10% of revenue. Imagine this, if you will. Let's say you onboarded 20 sales reps and they were all just doing 5 sales a month. Well, that's 100 sales a month. If the average margin on a job is $10,000, that additional 10% is $1,000 per job. If you did 100 deals a month through seated sellers, what would it cost you to seat those sellers? Well, at $50 a seller, you're looking at $1,000 a month. That's what you're paying to have 20 seated sellers. But if you're unlocking an additional 10% on 100 jobs, it's an additional $100,000 a month. I mean, that is stupid, easy math. And I hope you guys are seeing this, because that is the major play right here, right? Just easily go out there and, you know, find yourself 20 studs. People who, and we're talking 5 sales a month. That's not a stud in the solar industry, right? That's, I mean, you could walk yourself into 5 sales a month. Anyway, I just wanted to express that to everybody. Hope you guys are seeing that, the vision and the opportunity there.
Absolutely. There's no right number. You can start with 1 and grow. You know, it just depends. And you have to just think about it logically. How many people do I want on my front level 1 paying 85, or do I want to go after the seated? That'll be up to you guys. I do think for the majority of 95% of people out there, the classic model, the classic rev share, the classic 85 guys, don't get too out in left field here. Okay. It's amazing, but let's get you $3,000 a month on the classic model, right? Like, this is amazing, but don't get out of control. Okay. Let's start small. I say there's levels to this, but Jared is freaking right. You can go get a few seated sellers and unlock some revenue share, and you can absorb paying hundreds or thousands a month in the meantime, right? You have to pay all those membership fees. Then, I mean, it's truly off to the races. So be on Building with Bobby tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss the new slide deck, the new enterprise tools, the new things that they're showing. It's only going to get better because it's super beta mode right now. So I appreciate you all being here. Have an amazing weekend ahead. We'll see you on Building with Bobby tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, everyone.